2021 was a challenging year for CEOs, and at the same time, it was also when leadership evolved to newer levels. How have CEOs upskilled and reskilled in the interim? The Economic Times presents CEO Conclave 2022, second edition. The theme of this year was Stalwarts in Excellence, Redefining the Future. Here are the highlights of the day.
A very warm welcome to each of you to this brilliant show. I'm your host Isha Bhala, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to the second edition of the Economic Times Inspiring CEOs Conclave. The Conclave is really an effort to recognize the massive efforts put in by leaders in creating the foundation of a better India. Not just that, but making sure that India is one of our dreams. India making sure that we truly are and believe in Atmanirbhar Bharat. And true to this year's theme of Stalwarts in Excellence, Redefining the Future, companies have in recent years invested a lot of their efforts and resources when it comes to research and development, some of the first and the finest in the world.
Was agility really a major trend for your organization pre-COVID? And how has the last 2 years brought this to the forefront?
We've gone through a hard time. Definitely, this was the industry which was hardest hit to my mind. First to get hit and last to survive. So the agility was always there, but there was no customer. You went all the way down, and I think the agility that the industry showed was to bounce back. The resilience was there. So my definition for agility is to respond to change. How fast you can respond to change, whether you are able to shift gears very quickly. In our industry as well, the whole purpose of travel changed with the unfortunate COVID-19. If we survived on corporate travel, that went crashing down. If we survived on conferences like this, they went crashing down. If we survived on weddings, they went crashing down. So you really had to bring the customer back. So we actually went through 3 different phases in the last 2 years. The first phase was really survival. You had to look after your assets, you had to look after your people.
Maybe the next question, Neil, for you on some of the examples of agility in your industry and more importantly your company, and how has that changed things forever?
And as we got on the last couple of years, there are, I think, multiple stimuli hitting us from different angles, especially in an industry. One certainly was the external black swan event, which is basically the pandemic. Then we had massive regulatory changes in the industry. I'll explain what that is. Competitive moves. We had massive changes in how consumers and customers behave during the pandemic. And also the environments, the kind of things that are around us in our industry that changed. But let me start with regulatory as a stimuli. I don't know how many of you know this, but in our skin and personal care industry, at the beginning of the first COVID crisis, which was March, April, May, June period of 2020, the government of India decided that all skin and personal care products, or actually all consumer goods products, would be divided into 2 parts. One is you're either discretionary or non-discretionary. And if you're in discretionary, it was very clearly not allowed to be sold in stores. So your distributors couldn't sell. So if you're having a deodorant spray or a skin cream, the government said, sorry, this is not important during the COVID. You cannot sell this in stores. Your distributors cannot go there. So basically, we were not allowed to sell that in normal stores. But one thing that happened during that time, I think there were 2 kinds of stores that were allowed to, or channels that were allowed to sell our products. One were the chemists and the pharmacies. They were open 24/7. They were allowed to sell every product, irrespective of whether discretionary or non-discretionary. And the second one was e-commerce. Right? So these were the 2 channels where we were allowed to sell. And every other channel, all our 400 and odd distributors in India had to shut down for a couple of months. A lot of stores were closed.
So next question for Mr. Rao. What should the role of the CEO be in helping organizations embrace true agility?
If life is there, everything is there. So we were in an unknown situation, but all our power plants have worked. I think it is the highest efficient output, but challenge, because it is coal or whatever, it is to be on the hands. So what we made these services delivered is central to the growth mindset. Always look for an opportunity in the challenge. That is one thing. Another is change in your beliefs. She was sharing with us fixed mindset and agile mindset. Unless we have believe ourselves, but at the same time, we should also believe that we can unlearn and learn. So whether it is Zooms or whether it is stretched services or whether it is untimely, unnoticed, available of all services like sergeant at arms we call in military, we were also in the similar situation to be available to the society. Another is sometimes in our organization we have a practice that we create our own challenges sometimes. We have young groups we form to, well, earlier we were doing quality circles or whatever we are telling. Specific to our industry, infrastructure industry to be succeed, we create our own teams and throw challenges, difficult situations. So for example, my runway has a capacity of X number of flights. Can we do more number of flights with the same runway in the 24 hours? There are many ways, but yes, limitations. We have a regulation. Airfield is managed by defense. Our aircraft movement is controlled by airport authority. We don't do that.
Fine, fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Any other panelists want to add?
Right, from the company's perspective, from the employee's perspective. I mean, typically, historically, if you had taken a look, maybe a company had about, say, 1,000 employees sitting in one office, two offices. But all of a sudden, because of the COVID, now that office actually had 1,000 offices, 1,000 locations, 100 cities, right? Maybe 10 states. So all of a sudden, what this has actually happened was that the central authority or the decisions that used to be made at the top has now actually come to the leaf node. Somebody sitting in Chikmagalur somewhere and then talking to the customer, talking to product management, talking to the manufacturing, and then trying to make the decision because you can't actually go up the chain. So what has actually happened is this has pushed the leadership traits to the leaf node.
Ask you, your latest 83, something that really does talk about teamwork and how when a team really does put together all the effort, win isn't far. How is it that you feel in real life and you work with a huge team? How is it that you connect with your team members and put all that hard work come close?
That's crucial. I mean, to be able to connect with your team is, I think that's the principle of being a director, because at the end of the day, when I'm writing a script, I'm writing all alone in some room, it could be anywhere around the world, and I'm creating a scene, but ultimately that has to come down and about 200, 300 people have to help me bring that scene to life. So to be able to, get everybody's energy to be the same as mine, to be able to inspire them, because, as filmmakers, we'll go the extra mile, right? As I say, we'll give our life to make that film. But not everybody on the set is as passionate about it. So you have to get them really excited about what they're doing, excited about the story that they are also telling, and that's the only way a film can be made.
Right, and how very well mentioned by you here. So let me ask you, if we talk about your personal journey from the days that you worked on documentaries to now commercial cinema, how has the journey been? How do you think that you've evolved as a leader, as a filmmaker?
I mean, it's been a great journey. I can't ask for more. Honestly, when I was a documentary filmmaker based here in Delhi, I was feeling the need to tell the story on a larger screen because I felt, I'm not being able to get an audience that's large enough in documentaries. Unfortunately, 15, 20 years ago, it was a very small audience. So for me, it was really just the need to be able to tell a story that reaches across to a lot of people. And the most powerful medium in this country, as you know, is Bollywood mainstream cinema. That's the way I shifted. And from there on, I often said that for me, the dream was to make that one film, which was my first film, Kabul Express. And I used to say that, in life, I should be able to make one film. So anything after that is a bonus. And I think it's very important not to forget that, not to forget what your initial dream was. Right. And then you'll be much more thankful for everything that follows.
event also saw the unveiling of the coffee table book, The Economic Times Inspiring CEOs 2022, by the Minister of State, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Bhanu Pratap Singh Verma.
Feedback came to us that the team members, employees would like to do different things and contribute to the organization and to the society at large. And we thought that how could we put up a structure which would support that. And that time, gig economy was being talked about, and people were looking at how to look at different works and gig workers we talked about. And our thinking was, can we create that within the organization? And we started something called project economy, in which we would come out with problem statements which should be very relevant for the organization and the society. And how could that be solved? And we would put it up, and we had team members from diverse backgrounds and different teams come together to solve that particular problem while they continue doing the job that they were doing, which is there. So, and we saw a lot of excitement in that. And then we saw it progress into the next step, in which people would come with the problem statement themselves and say, this is what we should be looking at, and this is how we should be solving it, and this is the impact it will have on the society, on the customers, and for the organization at large. And that built up into a lot of excitement for the team members, for people, and those who wanted really to contribute and learn of diverse problem solutioning, of diverse team functioning, of diverse background cultures. And for me, it was very satisfying, because now I have a culture in the organization in which people come together to solve issues which require different skill sets. And once solved on implementation stage, they again get back and look at different problems. And that's like mushroomed all over. And that, to me, is the future of work in terms of how we look at it. In today's time, everything is so agile, so fast, that people have to start thinking about multiple solutions at the same time. And one person cannot do that. It would require the entire organization to keep on doing it at a continuous pace, and in the process enjoy doing it. That was something which we really enjoyed and really loved the way it's building up.
The prima facie reason for the success of Bhutani Infra lies in the entire concept we create before launching a project. We think of the entire story, the way it will be envisioned, not just by us, the way it will actually come out in the market to our investors, to our end users. It is very, very imperative for us that we think about the end user as well as the investor when we are conceptualizing a project. The basic reason, the basic funda, as we say, lies in creating a landmark. Why that project will not only just be for one generation, but for generations to come, be it the quality, be it the entire concept behind it. With the amalgamation of the two comes a beautiful product.
Well, I just thought there was a big opportunity when I was working in my previous bank, that you can create something from start an NBFC, convert to a bank. It's just a thought, so I just went after it with a lot of determination and put an effort for it. But, not just mine, I think anybody setting up something from beginning have their own challenges. It's normal. But yeah, to get the initial staff of employees, getting the funding, growing the organization, building it to profitability, getting the funding lines, getting equity, raising QIP, all that is a task. And then on top of it, then of course you find a bank to merge with. So I think it is quite an effort, but I think, being very, very focused about what you want to do, and all through 7 or 8 years being focused on only one thing, this is what we want to do, I think that really helped actually. These things, of course, we should always be cautious of the challenges and problems that could come in our way. We should be. But actually, we should not lose sight of the very big opportunity India is providing. We have a very progressive government, a very pro-reform government, I must say, a huge growth opportunities, the growth engine is firing. All these are very positive things. So my short thing is that we're very focused on the big opportunities. At least in our case, it's very simple. We felt that banking business, frankly, for such a large country, there are very few banks in the country. So it's unlimited space. As long as we have good business model, good profitability at the core, I think we can build amazing businesses. Well, we are a really, relatively, I'd say, a newer bank, but I think we made some very specific work or directionally a very customer-first bank, in the sense our products are very customer-friendly. And we believe that after the initial stage you refer to write-off, all that phase is over. We think the next many years are going to be really really fantastic for our bank. I'm very hopeful. When I was at ICICI Bank, I used to have this theory that there is so much of opportunity in the lower end of the pyramid. If we can make an NBFC focused on that segment, small entrepreneurs, consumers, and later convert it to a bank, I just thought it would be a lovely story. So, I thought big opportunity. So then I went after it in a very, very focused way. So all 8 years, I didn't look left, I didn't look right, just focused on that one agenda. It's not about hard. I think everybody who starts something from beginning, all over the world, it's always hard. But that's not the point. The point is that what the opportunity is, because India is such a large country, very few banks, especially very few banks focused on the mass market in a focused way. So I just love the opportunity that within our own lifetime, we get to create something like that. But you should forget those stories about write-off and all, because I think that is history. Last first 1 or 2 years, all that happened. The way we look at it, going forward, we think it's turning out to be a very profitable bank. I think the next 4 or 5 years will be quite amazing for our bank. But most importantly, when we say learning, I just say that be very focused, very disciplined, and that's when we get to realize the opportunity, so to say. I'm just very happy that this is turning out to be an amazing bank. People who are just observing it from a distance may or may not see it, but at the heart of it, a great bank is coming up. It's really customer friendly. It's not just a slogan for us. We actually try to put something special for customers in everything we build. It's a special bank coming up, and I think most people will get to see it over the next 2 or 3 years. You will really see this bank flowering out.
We have been working with cross-cultural global teams for many decades, but COVID just accelerated and brought a new definition to the significance of the working culture among global teams. Hence, cultural agility has become a central topic for all organizations. But by the way, what is cultural agility? Cultural agility is the ability to work respectfully, knowledgeably, and effectively with indigenous people. The people are different cultures and backgrounds. Why is it so important? For today's global organizations, cultural agility is the new competitive edge. Leaders who understand cultural differences and nuances are more adaptable and inclusive. They can more successfully navigate the complex dynamics of global multicultural teams and clients. And for an example, professionals who develop great cultural agility tend to build more productive relationships with intercultural colleagues. Cultural agile employees have significantly greater confidence and self-efficacy about their likely performance in global assignments. And what are the common cultural agility attributes? Self-awareness, ability to understand oneself, flexibility too. And the third is a curiosity to learn about different cultures. So why is it so important? UK's HR magazine surveyed over 1,000 global corporations. Only about 30% of professionals have cultural agility, which is the ability to interact comfortably and effectively with people from different cultures, whether those differences are based on gender, race, profession, generation, or nationality. Cultural agility remains one of the most underdeveloped competencies in the workspace, and yet it is also one of the most critical in organizations, becoming increasingly more diverse. So in conclusion, we must adapt training and awareness programs on cultural agility, part of our DEI efforts. I'm also including the source of the HR magazine on these stats.
तेल आप मोटरसाइकिल हो, गाड़ी में तेल जो भरा रहे हैं, उसको हम लोग E10 कहा जाता है. E10 मतलब है इथानॉल 10% बैंडिंग. पूरा भारत में हमने लागू कर दिया है. अब E10 जो इथानॉल है वो किससे बनते हैं, जरूर मैं अपना भाषण में कहा, मैं किसानों को आय दुगनी करने के लिए, भारत के प्रधानमंत्री कहा है कि किसान की आय दुगनी करना होगा. तो पेट्रोलियम मंत्रालय कैसे आय दुगनी करेगी, किसान की आय कैसे दुगनी करेगी? तो आप लोग कहना चाहता हूं कि हम अभी राइस से इथानॉल बना रहे हैं, हम गन्ना से इथानॉल बना रहे हैं, हम मक्का से इथानॉल बना रहे हैं. ये इथानॉल से आज पूरा भारत में हम E10 की गाड़ी चला रहे हैं. E10 गाड़ी चला रहे हैं. अभी असम में, नॉर्थ ईस्ट में बहुत ज़्यादा बाढ़ हो गया है, और सिलचर में और त्रिपुरा में तेल नहीं है, क्योंकि आसाम से तेल जाते हैं। तो मुझे पता नहीं था, मैंने कहा बांग्लादेश पास में बॉर्डर है, बांग्लादेश से तेल ले आओ भाई, और तेल अपना गाड़ी में भरो, डिपो में भर दो। लेकिन वह पता चला कि बांग्लादेश अभी भी BS2 में गाड़ी चल रही है, उसका तेल से हमारा गाड़ी नहीं चल सकता, हम BS6 तक पहुंच गए। इसी तरह से हम लोग असम में बहुत ज़्यादा बम्बू है, और 2 पेपर मिल थी वहाँ, दोनों बंद हो जाने के कारण से अब हम बम्बू से भी इथानॉल निकालने के लिए अपना तरफ से काम शुरू कर दिए हैं नुमलीगढ़ रिफाइनरी में। तो बहुत लोगों को कहना था कि फिनलैंड में बम्बू के इथानॉल से गाड़ी चलता है, लेकिन फिनलैंड के लोग जो खाते हैं तो हमारी आसाम के लोग वो चीज़ नहीं खाते, वह इंडिया नहीं खाते। तो उस बम्बू में से इथानॉल से गाड़ी चल रहा है, लेकिन अपना इंडिया का जो बम्बू है उससे वो सक्सेस होता है क्या? तो हम लोग ऐसे किए कि आसाम के 19 प्रजाति के बम्बू हम लोग फिनलैंड ले गए थे, और वहाँ रिसर्च करके देखा कि उस बम्बू के इथानॉल से भी हम गाड़ी चला सकते हैं। और इसी तरह से काम नुमलीगढ़ रिफाइनरी में चल रही है, और आने वाले दिन में हम बम्बू से इथानॉल निकालेंगे, और हमारी 83% तेल ही हम प्रोडक्शन करते हैं, ज़्यादातर 83 नहीं, 83% तेल हम बाहर से लेके आते हैं। तो हम इसी तरह से बम्बू से इथानॉल बना रहे हैं। अब हम पलारी से पानीपत रिफाइनरी में इथानॉल हम बनाने के लिए जा रहे हैं। तो ऐसे करने से हमारी किसान की आय दुगनी होगी। अब किसान की आय दुगनी करने के लिए हमारी पेट्रोलियम मंत्रालय इस तरह से काम कर रहे हैं। तो मैं इसका जानकारी आप लोगों को दिए। और मैं जहाँ से आता हूँ डिब्रूगढ़, वहाँ हमारी एक प्रोजेक्ट है मिथानॉल का। मिथानॉल गैस से और कोयले से होते हैं, तो मिथानॉल से भी हम लोग गाड़ी चलाने के लिए अपना तरफ से पूरा जोर लगा दिए हैं। और मैं अपना वहाँ तिनसुकिया में माकुम मोटर्स बोल के एक पेट्रोल पंप में मिथानॉल M15, मैंने अभी आप लोगों को कहा E10 के बारे में, अब हम M15 भी शुरू कर दिए हैं। M15 मतलब मिथानॉल 15% बैंडिंग करके हम गाड़ी चलाने के लिए काम शुरू कर दिए हैं। तो मिथानॉल क्या है कि मिथानॉल 21 रुपीज़ 22 रुपीज़ में मिल जाते हैं, लेकिन हम राइस से अगर इथानॉल बनाते हैं तो हमारे 60 रुपीज़ 60 रुपये लगते हैं। तो मिथानॉल बैंडिंग अगर डिपो में अगर कोई तेल भराते हैं तो 2-3 रुपया कम में आपको तेल मिल जाएगा। ये काम हम लोग अभी तिनसुकिया में शुरू किए हैं। तो हम लोग चाहते हैं पूरा इंडिया में मिथानॉल का काम हम लोग शुरू करें। M15 अभी हम E10 की काम पूरा इंडिया में शुरू कर दिए हैं, और उसी तरह नए नए जगह में हम इथानॉल के प्रोजेक्ट लगा रहे हैं। असम में भी 7 प्रोजेक्ट करने के लिए हम लोग सिद्धांत लिए हैं। तो इस तरह से काम हमारी पेट्रोलियम मंत्रालय के द्वारा हम लोग किए हैं।
In its second edition, the CEO Conclave is working towards a common goal of recognizing the exemplary efforts of CEOs.